Hey all, welcome to a new video of the particle system series. We're going now to see how we can create a particle system using the transform feedback system. I already made a video about this, which was a bit too fast, a bit too long and a bit too advanced. So from now on, we will really start from scratch and go through how the system works. Since I also became better in this, I've learned a lot in the past months, so I felt it was time to go back in the transform feedback with renewed energy and look at it really from scratch. First of all, let's create the objects that allow us to work with the transform feedback. So first of all, we need a GGL buffer. The GGL buffer is simply a buffer that contains some data from a GGL mesh object. We need to give it a type, which is the type of the buffer of the GGL mesh object that we are going to override with the transform feedback. So for example, position, this is a position buffer of the GGL mesh, and then we have to give it an out name. So I always like to give an out name for the buffer, which points to what the buffer is used for, and then with a O in front of the name, so we know that this is the output variable, the output name. Great. Then we need the GGL transform feedback object, ggltf, which as an argument needs a number of buffers that we connect to this object. Now, the maximum number of buffers in most machines is 4, but we will start with 2. So we will connect 2 buffers to the transform feedback, and we are going to write to these 2 buffers using the transform feedback. So then we need to give it the name of a shader that we are going to use to implement the transform feedback. So let's give it shader. Let's give the name of the shader is going to be TF shader, which doesn't exist yet. Great. So we connect this buffer to the first input. Then we need a GGL mesh, which draws to the world, which TF particles. Draw mode, we are going to make draw mode points because we want to work with particles, so they are basically points. And then we're going to give it point mode circle, which is an attribute that was introduced recently with one of the latest versions of Max. So to have it, you have to download one of the latest versions of Max and update the GL3 package. Great, then we connect the transform feedback to the GGL mesh. Now, we said we wanted to have 2 buffers, so let's create another one. Let's give it normal as the type to this buffer. So we are going to replace the normal buffer that is inside the GGL mesh object. We could also write to the normal buffers using a matrix here and sending it into this input, the third input of the GGL mesh. So instead, with the transform feedback, we are writing to these buffers using the ggltf object and the shader. Let's change the out name for this, and this is going to be, I don't know, for example, our velocity in output. So it doesn't matter that we are using the normal buffer, we are not going to use it as normals, we are not going to write normals into this buffer, we are going simply to use it to retain a vector tree, which will be our velocity from the previous frame. Great, then we need a couple of matrices to fill these buffers. So 3, float 32, let's say we start with 1000 particles. Great, so let's actually create 2 of them, and let's actually create a JIT noise for the position, so the particles will all start in a random place. Let's actually remap the noise from 0 to 1 to -1, 1, so the particles are going to fill the world in a uniform way, not being all in the right corner. Good, let's create then a load bang, with which we can bang those matrices. So let's actually bang them manually first. Great. And now we need a shader. So if we activate this now, we don't see anything. Oh, actually we see our particles, which are very small, so let's actually make them bigger, so point size 5 here in the GGL mesh. Great. So as you can see, the particles are already displayed, but the transfer feedback is not enabled. If we check the attributes of the transfer feedback, there is one that is enabled. So what does it mean enable? Well, the transfer feedback doesn't run all the time. We actually need to enable it. So if we try to enable it, it will give us an error that says valid shader required. There is no shader yet attached to the transform feedback because the shader TF shader doesn't exist. So let's see actually how this transform feedback system works. So we got our matrices that fill our buffers, so they actually initialize them. It's exactly the same thing as inputting those matrices directly inside the GGL mesh. We are writing to the same buffers. And then inside the shader, we are going to write to these buffers by assigning some values to the variables called the same name as the out name. And then in the next frame, automatically at every frame, it will take the values, the input values from the buffer. We will do something with them and then write to the output values of the buffer. This is like a feedback loop, because we get the buffers as input, we do something on them in the shader, and then we output them back inside the buffer. This is why it's called transform feedback. Great, so what we miss now is just the shader. So let's create it. GGL shader, TF particles, and then we need to give it a file. Let's call it TF particles shader.jxs. Sorry, you don't see this. It's called GGL particles shader.jxs. Then let's give it a name, which we say is TF shader. Great. Now it doesn't find the file because it doesn't exist yet, so let's open the default shader, save it on my desktop, where there is also saved the patch that I'm working on, so they will be in the same folder, and I will give it the name that we chose, so TF particles shader.jxs. Great. So this is now in my desktop. I will take this file and open it with Visual Studio Code to have a better editor. So there it is. I will set GLSL as highlighting in Visual Studio Code. And by the way, you can download the GLSL highlighting here in the extension. You search for GLSL in Visual Studio Code and you just install one of those. Great, so this is the default shader that gets generated by Max every time we create a GGL shader object. So we are going to modify this shader simply by removing the part of the geometry program. We are not going to use the geometry program for the moment. So let's take all this part and remove it until we arrive to the fragment shader. We got only now the vertex shader and the fragment shader. Great, then we need to modify also the fragment shader. Since this is a transform feedback shader, we actually don't need a fragment shader. We're going to remove everything inside the fragment shader, and then we're going to remove also these two lines inside the main function of the vertex program. We're going to remove the JIT per vertex struct. We're going to remove the model view matrix, also from the declaration here on the top. This is the part of the wrapper around our shader, which is needed by Max to read the shaders, GLSL shaders. And these, after this version 33 core, this is actually our shader. So this is our vertex program, which is going to be used in the transform feedback, and the fragment program, as we said, we don't use. We could use the geometry program, but not in this video. We will see in the future how we can use the geometry program as well. So now these are a couple of parameters which are attached to the buffers of the GGL mesh. So how do we know that they are attached to the buffer of the GGL mesh? Simply because this is a shader that is connected to the transform feedback, and the transform feedback is connected to the GGL mesh. So basically these buffers are the buffers from the GGL mesh. The buffers are simply an array of data that describe some properties of the shape, our GGL mesh. For example, the position comes from the state position, which is our position buffer, because it's of type position. And then the color buffer, we actually didn't connect it to the transfer feedback, we actually just connected the normal buffer. So let's replace the color with the normal buffer and make it of type vec3. And this is going to be our velocity input from the buffer. So I call it I velocity like input, so I like input. And let's rename also the position with I position in the parameter declaration. Good. And as you can see, these are declared as state because these come from the application. It is not a uniform variable that we define ourselves. This comes from the Max application. This is something that the application passes to the shader automatically. Great. Then we need to bind those parameters, so those variables, those buffers input to the right program. In this case, it's going to be the vertex program, because as we said, we don't have any geometry shader and we don't have any fragment shader, so we are going to always work with a vertex program for the moment. Then also I velocity. Great. Then we need to declare those two buffers as input. So this will be basically the input in the shader coming from the buffers Then we are going to use them inside the shader. So let's first declare it in back3 position and in back3 eye velocity. Great. And then we need also some output variables, because we need to write to these buffers so that we can access them in the next frame. So out back3 all position, and in this case we need to use the same name that we used as the output name for the buffer. So we use the out name all position for the position buffer, and we use the all velocity name for the normal buffer. So all position and then output back3 all velocity. Great. Then let's go inside the main function and let's assign simply to the all position. Since we need to actually write always to those variables, it doesn't matter if we don't modify them, we anyway need to write those variables, otherwise the shader will give us an error. So we simply set in the output position our input position, so we just pass it untouched. And our output velocity, we pass it as our input velocity. So we simply pass it as it was. Great, so let's check if this actually works, this shader. Seems to be working since it doesn't give me any error. So something that I like to do in order to enable the GGLTF without always clicking on the patch is to get the space bar. So key, select 32, which is the space bar, and then this is going to activate a toggle or deactivate it, which means then we are enabling and disabling the transform feedback. Now, as you can see, even when we activate the transform feedback, nothing is happening because the position is just passed untouched to the output. So what we could do is to simply test our shader works, is to sum a simple vector to our position. For example, we can sum the value 0.001 at every frame to this input position, and then write this to the output position. In this way, as you can see, the particles are rising up, because at every frame we are summing this small amount to the epsilon value of this vector, which then is going to push the particles up, because the output position is going to be the initial position plus this vector. Then this value is going to go back as the input value, which is going to be summed to the vector again, put back inside the buffer, and then read back in the next frame as the input position. So it's a feedback loop. Great, so we saw in this video how to create a transform feedback system from scratch, and we saw how to create the shader from scratch, starting from a default shader. So in the next video we're going to learn a lot more about shaders in general. I already started a little series, for example, with a video last week that talks about functions in shader. I'm going to continue this series as well to give kind of general information about shaders. So we are now going to delve pretty deep inside the shader realm. So I hope you will follow me in this journey because it's very fascinating. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel so you can get more content like this. And check out my Patreon for the patch download. And see you soon in the next video. Ciao!